welcome back, everybody. Clearwater Jazz Holidays, Young Lions, Jazz Master Virtual Sessions, Sam Dillon, as he takes a drink of water. What's up, Sam?
You know, man, there's a lot going on, and I'm also staying inside. So it's kind of this duality of reality for everyone right now. But it is extremely great to be here with all of you. So
well,
I'm doing great.
We are so happy you're back with us. And, of course, we got the great Jeremy Carter, who I'm going to introduce in a second and turn it over for a conversation with Sam Dillon, with a part two with Sam Dillon, because Sam was back with us back on December 7th, and that session is up in our studio at clearwaterjazz.com for those of you who haven't checked that out yet, and, of course, on the podcast. So everybody's muted for the courtesy of the session, but if you have questions, you can use the chat feature, and we'll make sure that we get those questions to Jeremy and to Sam. Thank you for following along with Clearwater Jazz Holiday Education and Outreach. We thank our many sponsors, including Blue Water Wealth Management at Steward Partners at Duke Energy and MarineMax, for helping to present our studio resource after these live sessions. They are recorded, or the recorded sessions are put into and archived in the studio, accessible at clearwaterjazz.com, as well as the Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions podcast, available wherever you stream. So if you would rather listen than watch, then check out the podcast. It's become very popular, and I'm going to pin Jeremy Carter's video right here in a second, because I'm going to introduce Mr. Carter, a friend of Clearwater Jazz Holiday for sure. Jeremy, welcome back, man. Jeremy Carter is one of the most sought-after saxophonists around, such an incredible performer. During the pandemic, we grew this music series called the Clearwater Jazz Holiday Presents Wanderlust music series, which is outside, socially distanced, a little bit smaller scale, well, a lot smaller scale than the festival, but really exciting and a really wonderful way to unite our community of support. Jeremy was featured in, I think, at least 2 of those shows last year, and he's got a really great show scheduled later in the year with the Jeremy Carter Rubber Band, which just crushed it last year, and we're happy to bring them back. He's doing a co-bill with James Suggs quartet, and I think James is doing a Thelonious Monk tribute piece before the Jeremy Carter Rubber Band takes the stage. So we're so happy to have Jeremy with us, and he's also been generous with his time and talents, and grateful. We're so grateful that he's been participating in these virtual sessions. If you look at the studio, he's already done several instructional sessions from basic, advanced, or basic, intermediate, advanced tenor sax, and a lot of conversation with series, including the conversation with Sam today, a bunch of great ones coming up, and there's a bunch of great ones in the studio. So check those out. Jeremy, I'm going to turn this over to you, man. The stage is all yours. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me back. Yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff out there coming up. I see some familiar faces out there. My good buddy Don, Lee, and Anita. So yeah, guys, thanks for joining. And my good buddy Sam.
Jeremy, how's it going?
Yeah. So we're going to get into it, and obviously talk a lot of sax stuff. So if you guys came for anything else, I don't know. We're going to go pretty heavy into the saxophone things. So Sam, what's been going on with you?
Man, actually I'm lucky right now. I've had a chance to get away to a family friend just to go somewhere.
Okay.
So I'm in a different setting. I don't have my keyboard and my whole music space set up right now. But other than that, I'm still just teaching lessons, doing recording projects, doing some, webinars and Zoom stuff like this, making it happen during this kind of crazy time, and just grateful to be connected with people who are trying to keep us all connected, man, like yourself. It's a crazy time, but it's also a revealing time because I think that we're all kind of put under this weird microscope where the good people surface in a way. And I just really, man, am honored that you've had me here, and just so much love and respect for everything you're doing, for inviting all these great players on here. It's amazing how this time has revealed the people who are really trying to stay connected, you know? So I'm trying to piggyback on that vibe.
Yeah, I've been seeing you've been doing some stuff out there. You did one with Jason Marshall, no, not too long ago, or?
Yes, we did one on transcription for the Mingus Big Band, and you know, that was amazing because me and Jason, I think, do see the development of our, you know, voices and how to get into transcribing and saxophone related stuff very similarly. And he was in the Mingus Big Band quite a bit longer than I was, you know. So when I got into that situation, Jason, you know, knew who I was, but was also always very encouraging. Had little pointers for me singing in the section, you know, kind of like an older brother. And so our relationship strengthened after that, and evolved to this point where we both felt like starting to do this kind of thing together. Yeah. So that's been really cool too. Yeah.
Who were some of the other guys in the section?
Oh, in the section at the time, well, you know, Brandon Wright, Wayne Escoffrey, who started calling me too after Brandon called me, and Abe Burton, Lauren Savion, Alex Terrier, Alex Foster leads that section. Scott, you know, that dude, Scott. Now Scott's on talk about artistry, you know. I tell everyone this story because it's just so amazing to me. Like, you know, I found myself sitting in that section and thinking about all the players who used to be in that band, and all the legacy of that band. It's kind of overwhelming when I first got there, and you know, to look over to my right, because I was sitting tenor 2, Scott's over on tenor 1. Tenor 1 chair in that band, that's the hot spot, you know. Yeah. And I just remember, you know, it's a different thing sitting in the section with these cats, even after you know all the music, and I know you know, and I'm sure some of the students and colleagues out there know this already, but it's got to be said that having that real experience in the section is different than just learning the music at home, you know. Yeah. And to have him stand up and take one of these, you know, monumental solos on Goodbye Pork Pie Hat right in front of me, even though I knew that he was great, I really understood Scott Robinson at that moment, because he's a special player, man. He's a really special guy that is unique and has encompassed, you know, everyone in his playing, from, you know, Joe Henderson, Train, and then Stan Getz. Yeah. He covers the full spectrum of the history of the instrument, you know, and so you can't really pinpoint the influence anymore. Right. That's a special level.
That's why I mentioned, you know, maybe talking about some of the guys in the section, because the history of just that band alone, all the different guys who come and gone in that band, and of course even now, whenever anything happens, they substitute rotate a lot of guys, but the quality of musicians and just the level of artistry there. So maybe for a tenor player that's going to be doing a lot of section work, like you said, like, it's more than just learning your part at home. When you're trying to blend into the section, it's going to be different from night to night, depending on the players that are there and the personalities that are there. So talk a little bit about your approach when you're going into a situation.
Oh man, that's a great question. You know, I find that if there's any, you know, I try to keep it simple. I want to make sure that I know the music because what's amazing in these kind of situations, and I mean know the music, because and knowing the music is also a never-ending process. So that's kind of difficult to say, but you want to be as prepared as you possibly can be, because when you get into those kind of professional situations, the band is watching you, and you are auditioning for everyone in the band. It's not like, everyone in the band is, all the members of the ensemble are checking out how you respond in different situations, if you're paying attention to everything that's happening, because this is a unit. So you can't really have your focus be on the music that you're responsible for, because you have to be aware of what's going on around you. And when you put yourself in a situation like that, you really understand the level that you need to learn music at home to be prepared for the moment. So with that said, I just try to make sure that I am as prepared as I possibly can be, have a good attitude, but be open, just watching, And I think part of what we do anyway, innately, as musicians, and just studying the history of our instrument, we are watchers, man. We're all always checking out everything that's happening anyway. So it's important, I think, to bring that mentality to the bandstand, actually. It's like what you've been doing. You're checking out this music, you're checking out how he plays, you're checking out this drummer, checking out that rhythm. It's just more of that. You want to bring that level of intensity and focus to what's happening around you with you. And if you're just able to be aware and adapt, and not necessarily have any too much of an extreme reaction one way or the other. You want to fit into the group. It's important. It's a team effort.
Right.
And when you're that way, you will get your home run in the game. You will get your moment. People will take care of you. People will respond well to you when you are aware of them and your surroundings. It's a community, man. It's like everything else we're doing, so that's my approach. I just try to be as prepared as possible and open.
Yeah. A lot of situations like that, you'll find that the real magic, or the real mysterious part about music is all in the nuance, like the really, really minor details.
Yes.
I mean, like, you can play the same piece, either as a small ensemble or as a big band a couple different times, and it's just going to be a little bit different, transitioning from the different, from one part to another, so yeah, really paying attention, staying focused, and like keeping the nuance,
Yeah, and what I find out, like, psychologically, you're talking about nuance, and I find that level of nuance is harder to get to if you don't know the music well enough.
Right.
So there is something to be said for, like, knowing the music. It relieves you of that burden of needing to know your part, and it almost relaxes you. Mm-hmm. So these musicians have a read on you if you know, if you check stuff out, and they'll mess. And if you don't know it, they mess with you, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they knew from the beginning, there's no way that I was going to have the whole book down the first night. There's just no way. So, I mean, Mingus they honor the direct, and I don't think it's rough. I think it's just an honest, there's a raw, direct honesty that Mingus's spirit had. And that band honors it. So when I got there, and I forgot what tune it was, but I think Alex was just like, start playing. I'm like, on what?
Or something?
On what song, man? Yeah, and you just start playing.
Wow.
And so, I'm at the Jazz Standard in front of a whole audience, and they put you on the spot, man. And as it should be, because that's part of you know, your artistry. That's part of adapting to a situation. That's part of them checking out how you're going to respond. And I can feel that is how Mingus was.
Right.
You know, they're aware of that. They've been in that band for 20, 30 years. They're introducing me to that spirit, you know. So you're new, play something. Let's see if you should be here, you know.
Right.
And luckily, whatever I figured out, they dug. But yeah, there's that raw element to them too, you know.
Very organic spirit.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into some saxophone stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So what exactly have you been doing? Any small group stuff, like recording projects, anything like that?
I'm thinking about a small group. Well, you know, the last album. This is a little while ago now. At this point, the last album that I released was with Frank Basili.
Yeah. My good buddy from Omaha.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. That's why I mentioned. And actually, Alex Lowray says to say hi to you too.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
man. I haven't seen him in many years, man. But he was studying with me. I don't know. Over 10 years ago. It's been a while, but just what he's gone on to do, man. He's just a monster.
Yeah, and same kind of quality as Scott too. You know, it's like you can't really. I mean, you can hear the influences, but it's a special sound. And anyway, he said that you were so important to him, so he wanted me to say hello, and I love. You know, he commented on Instagram too. That's right. Yeah. So anyway,
it makes me feel good, man. You know, to know that I played a part in whatever he's doing now, man, which is phenomenal. I mean, he's like a very serious musician.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I not answering your question. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But small group was with Frank, and that was the last thing that I've done. I am in conversation right now about a recording project, which would be another duo saxophone, but just bass and drums with Andrew Gould, my very good buddy. So we're thinking about doing just a tenor alto thing, but we're trying to start writing music for that, and see if we can get that going. As far as like recording projects, I had some guy hit me up to do a solo on Summertime for his thing, and random recording things here and there. I'm going to do something for Adam Larson, duet. He has a book coming out, so I'm going to be playing a duet. I think Alex is on that also.
Yeah,
Alex is doing something with him. So I'm cats are hitting me up and doing recording stuff for everyone. Right. And I'm just trying to be. As accessible and open to everyone right now. I think it's really important. I think that's really important because there's a need for us to be connected right now, more than there was before. We're naturally feeling connected when we go out of the house, but no one's going out. So it's more important, as small, and that's, I'm just always, working on stuff on the horn.
Right. So when you pick up the horn, are you doing more? You like trying to work out like original concepts, like as far as tunes? Like what's the framework? Like are you just start blowing over tunes or what?
Right. I'm supposed to say that there's an organized approach,
right.
But there isn't.
Yeah.
There used to be a whole detailed thing that I would do, but now it's a conceptual thing. My mind, I find my mind going to places where I'm trying to figure out every possibility, or almost, they say milking the cow. I like to find bits of information and use it in as many ways as I possibly can. Right. And, you know, I know people keep notebooks, like it's the famous thing that Michael Brecker talks about, you know, writing a line out and dating it, and then everything else is in your head, you know, but that's the line you want to, and taking it through cycle, up and half steps, down half steps, whole steps, minor thirds, major thirds, fourths, tritone. When you get to fifths, it's the same as fourths because you're going, you know, and repeats. Right. And he calls that the cycle.
Right.
So taking ideas and doing that. And then if you can do that with things, like any idea, what ends up happening is that you start to create your own progressions in the moment.
Right.
Because you're able to think freely, harmonically, because you already have the vocabulary there. And it serves a few things, not just to be able to do that, but it helps your technique, of course. And it also helps your ear, because now you're hearing, you know, we don't have a piano player comping for us if we're horn players, right? I mean, all the time. So now you're able to, excuse me, you're able to hear, you know, how things sound if they're moving in minor thirds or major thirds. You're able to hear that difference. And so I spent a lot of time doing that on simple, I mean, you know, I could show you, like, you know, but this is still along the lines of maybe like a Brecker thing, but like, you know, okay, just making sure this reed's working, but even, you know, let's see, I'll move this one down. There's a, you know, a fourth phrase, minor, right? We all, and that's one that I like to move around. So I might try to move that around in half steps going down first, right?
Okay.
Or we're moving up in half steps, you know. And do it slow. What you're doing, I mean, that's a group of five.
Right.
And the reason that I like to do that as a group of five is because if we're dealing with the pentatonic scale, which that idea was pentatonic, you're actually playing every note of the pentatonic scale.
Right.
So that falls in line with like what I'm talking about, milking the cow, because, you know, we're inclined to think of a four-note shape. Four-note shape is great. I love four-note shapes, no problem. But if we're going to take one line, I like to try to think about how are we going to use all of the melodic or tonal options that we have in one line. So I like to organize it in 5-note groups, because then you can put it into 4.
Right.
You can't, but then we get more shape from it.
Oddity. Yeah, you get the rhythm aspect of it, the rhythmic shape rather.
Right. So you got a lot going on just with the 5-note, and that was just half steps. So now we got 5-note shape over the bar line, moving in half steps. And now I'll try to find, you know, I'll find things where you can move it in whole steps now, you know, like you can, you know. Or up in whole steps, right? I don't know if I did this one. It's, you know, do it slow. And it's still the same idea. And down in minor thirds, you know?
Yeah.
Right, you start to get crazy, like cool sound. Major thirds is gonna, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's just the one shape. And fourths, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You keep going. But you get to a point where, and of course, like I said, this is just one idea. You can do this with anything, you know, and you get to a point where you're training yourself to hear all of these different avenues and ways to resolve to something. And it's related to harmony, but it's a way to get outside of thinking about, okay, 2 5 2 5 2 5, you know, which is great. But when you start to add this stuff in there, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
that was a 2-5-1, but I you know, I went to the tritone, but then I went down a whole step. Like, it doesn't totally make sense, but there's a way that you get comfortable with it, and it adds a freedom to your playing that people like Train and Brecker, I feel like, especially those two, Joe Henderson, are enlightened to get to, because they're hearing it. And when you hear it, that's what makes it sound real, right? So I do think it's a process of trying to figure out everything you can play over 2-5 and that kind of stuff. But then when you get to this place where it's a little broader of a way of approaching stuff, and it's a little scary in a way, because you have the ability to move in some weird ways, and you might land on some interesting stuff, but it's like a different zone. It's a different approach. You're playing over the harmony, you know, and it's a real way of organizing it.
Yeah, I think that's what's really so cool about the triad ideas as well.
Right.
When you're working like a diminished or dominant, like, you don't just have to play major triads. You know, you can play like a major and a minor, a major augmented. You know what I mean? And then you have that sound going on, and it's not so diatonic based. You know what I mean? When you look at the chord, you're not just thinking of a scale. You can actually see some different shapes there. It's like much more angular.
Yes. And okay, so that's great. Yeah, and you I can go down that rabbit hole too right now. Okay, great. So that whole approach is actually the opposite direction, right? So the way I see it, you know, and I mean, these things that we learn from people that train are just so deep, because you say to yourself, okay, he's good in both directions at the same time,
right?
And you're like, okay,
but it makes sense once you start.
It's like, you know,
yeah.
he's getting more specific this way, and then freer that way at the same time, and you realize that this process fuels, you know, getting more specific will make you more free,
right.
And getting freer is going to make you want to find more specific things to check out, because that will inevitably lead you to more freedom. And I gave another workshop the other day, and this is just my favorite quote. You know, Einstein says that imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yeah.
And to me, that just is what it's all about. So as far as your question goes, you know, triads in the diminished scale. So everyone plays, you know, the diminished scale. We have like you know, diminished sound, and or we try to put the diminished sound in a 2-5. Yeah, I'm going to my F. You know, we hear that diminished sound, and that's coming from that scale, which is the half whole scale on our C7, right? If I'm going to F. Now, one of the really cool things that we can do to experiment with the sounds that lie in this scale is to look at, like, exactly like you said, the triads within the scale.
Right.
And what we'll find is, because it's a symmetric scale, is that if you find any triad, you can always move it up in minor thirds, because the scale is symmetric. And that's one of the most alluring and fascinating things about this sound. So in this case, there's a C major triad.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that there's an E flat major triad, there's an F sharp major triad, and there's an A major triad.
Yeah.
And then we also look at C. Wait a minute. There's a C minor triad, So that also means that there's a E flat minor, an F sharp minor, and an A minor.
Yeah.
So we have 8 triads now, right? And then what I thought to myself, oh, wait a minute. Wait, Berganzi talks about hexatonic, triad pairs. Wait a minute. There's 8 triads in the diminished scale. Wait, let me try to find triad pairs within the diminished scale.
Yeah.
So now we're breaking down the 8-note diminished scale into 6-note groups. Okay? And that, to me, is just, we're going this way now, right? Because we're getting more specific, but it's going to get us more free. And so the beauty of a triad pair, for everyone that, you know, is thinking, well, why a triad pair? To me, we have one triad, right? And that's going to have a sound. The beauty of a triad pair is that it's integrating 2 sounds and that create one sound, right? And this is going to give a sonic a sound, a palette that creates motion within a tonality, right? And to me, that's where Train was after. That's what Bird's after, because there's a chord, right? And there's a sound. Okay, D minor, but within that, there's a way that those cats were moving within it. And triad pairs do that in a very real way. So even if we took D minor and we played, you know, an F major triad and a G major triad together, now we're creating motion, right? So this is, and so if I was thinking my D minor and I play F major, G major, right? As you know, Jeremy could rip this up right now. You want to, I mean, but
Go ahead.
Okay, but you know. Right. So I'm playing every inversion of every triad, just going up the hexatonic scale. Now that's a vertical way of looking at it, right?
Right.
We can also look at it in a linear, like horizontal way, where if we put the whole notes together, we get a scale. Sounds pentatonic-ish, but it's not. It's 6 notes, right? And so one of the cool patterns that I developed for this is coming for organizing triad pairs, is coming from, you know, the basic scale, like a 7-note scale. We'll play, you know, in RC, we'll play up the chord and then down the scale, up the chord and down the scale, you know?
Right.
So now I applied that to a hexatonic scale, which means that in a hexatonic scale, we're going up a triad and then going down all the notes of the hexatonic scale. And every time we go up, it's going to be a triad, because, you know, in a major scale, it's going to be up a 7th chord, but now it's more specific. It's up one of the inversions of a triad. So that's going to sound like this. It kind of sounds Breckerish in a way, right? I mean, I don't know if you know what? Actually, I'm sure that he was doing that, you know. Yeah. But it's just a little more focused of a tonality, because I'm going, you know, and I hope everyone understands out there. You know, I know I'm talking to Jeremy, but I know he gets it. But I'm going C F A C on the bottom of the horn, which is just an inversion of the F major triad. I'm repeating a note.
You doing C concert or C RC?
RC. So it's R F major.
Okay.
And I'm starting for, or I should start for, if I was starting from the bottom of the horn, it's R G major triad, and I'm going B D G B.
Right.
Right. And so I'm repeating the top note. I'm repeating the beat. I'm playing it, you know, and then I'm going down the scale. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's the first pattern that I like to use for triad pairs.
Right.
The second pattern that I like to do is to have no repeated note, right? Because after all, we are using triads. So this one gets a little more complicated. I showed this to Ron Blake in my lessons when he was teaching me. This is the one time that he said, "Oh, Sam, you got some shit together," you know, because it is fascinating. It's up 3 notes of the triad, B, D, G, right? And then we go down 2 notes, and you're going to get to the next note of the F, which is we're going to start on C. So we're going up the triads and filling it in with 2 notes of the scale. So right? And so we get a 5-note shape. Right? I love that for triad pairs. Okay. So now I'm taking that and I'm using it on diminished triad pairs. Okay. So we're expanding now. And so with diminished scale, we're talking about with the triad pair, you need to find 2 triad pairs where there's no repeated note, right? So, but otherwise it's not going to be a triad pair. That's not going to be a hexatonic scale. It's not going to be 6 notes. It's going to be something else. It's going to be 5 notes, right? If you have a repeated note.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of triad pairs we could use, and we could talk about that till the cows come home. I don't know why I keep talking about cows, milking the cows come home, but whatever.
You must be hungry for a burger, Sam.
Man, I can't wait for my burger, but I'm starting to go gluten free. So
are you?
That's a whole nother story. Yeah, I'm trying to be healthy, but that's a whole nother thing.
Good.
But so in the diminished scale, as we said, we have a C major, E flat major, F sharp major, A major, C minor, E flat minor, F sharp minor, and A minor. So now the common one that we would think about probably is the tritone, right? You set C major and F sharp major triads, right?
Right.
That's an abstract. And now looking at that, we know that we can move that up in minor thirds too, right? So we got C and F sharp, and then E flat and A, and then F sharp and C is repeating, and then A and E flat's repeating. But we have those 2 options now to target.
Right.
And if we apply this exercise to that, it's going to sound totally different than, you know, our typical, with a great lick, you know, and Freddie plays this all the time, right? Right, that's 1, 2, 3, 5, C, F, or right, typical thing. But now if we apply it to the hexatonic scale, sounds crazy. It sounds awesome. I love it. I haven't done this one, but see, that's tripping me up, and it's just C and F sharp.
Yeah.
And then we do it the 5-note version. I probably have that under my fingers a little better. E flat and A. Right. Right, we get all the specific sounds in there, right? And that's just the 2 triads, a tritone apart. Now, when we start adding minor triads together, so I made a chart too, and anyone that's interested, I can send it to you. But it's all the options, right? So if you kept it C major, we can combine C major and E flat minor, which is going to be a specific sound, right? We can take C major and combine it with F sharp minor, which is going to be another sound.
Okay.
We can take C major and combine it with F sharp major, like we did, and then we can go C minor. Now C minor combined with F sharp major, C minor combined with E flat major, right? So we get all these sounds. One of the sounds that I like particularly is C minor and F sharp minor together, because there's no third and seventh in the dominant chord. So it sounds dominant, but there's actually no third and seventh we're playing, right? Get all these sounds, but great, you know. You know, at a certain point, when we start to get this under our fingers enough, and we can mix and match them and see and make some connections within the scale, now I can start playing them over a long 2/5 or something. And, you know, if I have a acapella thing I want to do on Misty, we can use this in this kind of acapella kind of way that maybe like sounds to me like Brecker was getting at, you know.
Yeah, that diminished sound, like, or the symmetrical sound, like it's seemingly endless.
It's endless.
But it's really recognizable. It's like a very distinct sound, you know.
Yeah, it does. It has that. There's some kind of intense like presence to it, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it wants to resolve, you know.
It wants to resolve, but it also can exist in its own at the same time, which is bizarre. It's a crazy sound, and there's all of these specific, like as I'm explaining, you know, it's not just the scale itself. You can target all of these specific sounds within the scale, and it really does help your ear to hear the difference between, you know, a sharp 9 or a flat 9, or in a natural 13 versus a flat 13, for example, which is in another scale. And it's important because, you know, as I know about George Coleman through Eric Alexander, his voicings on his songs were very specific.
Right.
You know, these cats worked out like a very specific sound that they hear for all the tunes they're playing. And one of the things that makes them sound so great is that specificity in the playing, right? It's not, you know, in modern times we're inclined to say, oh, just diminished scale, and that's great,
right.
But it's a little deeper than that, you know. Right. And that's kind of why I gravitated towards thinking this way in the first place. Yeah. You know, there's a little more detail in the sound that you know, all our heroes are getting at, you know.
Right. Just like when you hear like the Lincoln Center Orchestra, like just the way they voice, you know what I mean? There's a certain color to that, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's immediately identifiable, you know.
Right.
A lot of this, you know, major 6, you know, flat 13.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, that's my diminished thing.
Right. So we were talking about some pentatonic stuff too.
Oh yeah, pentatonic stuff. Okay. Well, yeah.
Not, so there's the triad approach, which we're just getting into. Yeah, which is super cool. And then so just like substituting pentatonics.
Substituting pentatonics too, and this is maybe something that other people might have thought about already, but I do, like, again, like I was mentioning with the cycle, we're cycling around, we're cycling through different tonalities, and we can take that one pentatonic shape. Let's see here. So there, what I did is I took the shape that we were talking about earlier,
right,
And instead of moving it around through keys, I kept it in the same pentatonic.
Okay.
Meaning, so first we had. But now I'm starting the same shape. Like I'm in, let's say we're in my G minor pentatonic, right? G, B flat, C, D, F. And the shape is C, F, D, B flat, G. I'm taking that shape and I'm starting it on B flat. And then starting on G. Right?
Yeah.
And what that does now is that means that instead of the shape that we started with moving around, now we have 5 starting places within the one pentatonic where we can now add that to moving things around in different keys. So it sounds similar, but there's a variation. So instead of playing that shape, now I can go. So now we get to something that one of my heroes refers to as polypentatonics, Jerry Bergonzi, right? Yeah. And to me, Bergonzi, and I don't want to speak on his behalf, but it sounds like that's an organized way of getting to something that Train was dealing with, like freedom. And what we get to with polypentatonics now is 2 pentatonic scales. So it's just like Triad. It's a similar idea with Triad pairs where we have 2 Triad pairs together, but now we have 2 pentatonic scales together where there's no repeated note.
Okay.
So, and this always sounds nuts to me and makes everyone could say, "Oh, damn, that's some crazy stuff." But and this is never ending. This idea. It's so you take a C major pentatonic, right, or A minor, or I'll use G minor, which I was using, and if you combine that with a pentatonic scale that's up a half step, down a half step, or a tritone away, those are your 3 options for pentatonic combinations where there's no repeated note. Okay. Okay.
All right.
And you did. So now we get a 10-note cluster. Okay. So, for example, G minor and A flat minor pentatonic have no common notes.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So if I took G minor and A flat minor and I played a shape in G minor, like this one, and then I went down to A flat minor, but I kept going in the same direction. So I target a starting note, but I'm basically alternating back and forth between G and A. Okay. But I'm keeping the direction going. I'm just going back and forth between G and A, but it sounds crazy.
Yeah,
right?
That sounds really hip.
It sounds so hip, and you can move it back and forth too. You can just choose any 4-note shape. Like, let's see, right? So I'm going D, C, G, B flat, 4-note shape now, right? And I'm just going to move it down. Mix it up right now, right?
Yeah.
There's no real rhyme or rhythm.
Yeah.
So you get all these crazy, and that's just G, minor and A flat minor. You can go G minor and F sharp minor. So just keep going. And then G minor and C sharp minor. That's the other one. So those are the three options.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it never ends, man. It never ends.
Yeah.
And now, off the top of my head, that I'm thinking about it, we can apply the triad pattern, the first triad pair pattern, to the pentatonic scale. And I did make an Instagram post about this actually, where I'm playing up 4 notes of the pentatonic scale every other note, and then down the pentatonic scale. So
Okay.
you can apply scale like 7-note scale patterns to the pentatonic scale, and you get wider different intervals. So for G minor, you know, again, the basic scale pattern. Right now, I'm taking that and I'm applying it to G minor pentatonic. We have that, you can apply that to the polypentatonics, right?
Okay.
There's something for everyone to work on. But this is the way my mind works, because I just thought of that. And
Yeah.
I'm always trying to find more things to practice to give you to get you grounded, like I was saying this way, but it's going to end up being more free.
Right.
One simple one that I do have worked out is just a 4-note thing. I made another Instagram post about this, right? So that's C major and C sharp major together, right?
Okay.
Up 1, down 1, just 4 notes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, whatever you think of to when you have a combination, you can think of 5-note groups, 6-note shapes, anything. It never ends, but it's a way of organizing tonality to get sounds and shapes under your finger to be free, you know.
Right.
And that's basically the gist of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Or organizing yourself for the purpose of being free. It's never for the purpose of just being able to show off, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all got to be functional.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So,
man. I'm
yeah.
totally. There's a lot of stuff there. This this class will get a lot of hits.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool.
Yeah, man. Maybe we'll talk about sound production a little bit.
Great. I mean, I have questions for you, man. Do you want to? I mean, do you want to?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so I noticed, you know, in some of the clips, you know, when you posted it, I think that we have some kind of natural just kinship because we're of the same ilk when we come to tenor sound.
Right.
So I know how I feel about that, but I'm curious to hear actually how you feel about how you hear the saxophone, what you're looking for in equipment, and the way that you're able to get clarity in your sound.
Yeah. Honestly, when I play the saxophone, I've always wanted to be a singer, you know, but I'm a horrible singer. Like it's comical. Right. But so, yeah, I mean, but I really admire vocalists that just the way that they move about. And so like, I try to play the horn in that way. And so not just the sound production itself, but like the attack and decay of each note and the way that, you know, your lines just kind of transition. Like I want to sound more like I want my sound to have more like a vocal quality than like an instrument.
Mm.
You know, I really try to like sing the ideas. I mean, or, you know, because when you're when you're going, like, even if it's a piece, like if it's a standard that you know, or if it's you know, like a new piece and you're just kind of reading through the changes, like even like you're saying, like you have these shapes and you have these colors and you kind of have these anchors, you know, within the chord that you know you can rely on, but within that, you know, there's the attack and the decay, and there's the shape of the line, the dynamic, you know, like a really, really good line has that whisper, and it also has the, you know, a good strong point, you know, like each line like has this kind of breath of life in it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get super weird about it. So yeah, I mean, I just, obviously when you're getting your stuff together, you want to make sure everything is functioning properly. You know,
Right.
You want to get reeds that are like not too hard, not too soft, and
Yeah.
you know, I've been more or less in the same situation gear wise. Like we were, you know, pretty similar in that way. I've been playing, you know, close to a 8 tip opening, like Odor Link style mouthpieces. This is like this is a Gaia, or this is the Amma.
Oh,
It's one of Theowani's first pieces. It's like black ventified thing going on with the
wow.
ligature. Yeah, it's like it's super user friendly. You know, when I get, you know, I just pull it out and get the reed wet a little bit and just kind of slap it on there. It's really good in that when I'm making tuning adjustments, I noticed that a lot of the other ligatures that I've had, like I like a really loose kind of feeling. I don't like to clamp it down too much. And so the fact that this one is built in, if I'm making tuning adjustments, I never have to worry about the reed sliding off, because it's like actually anchored to the mouthpiece. So it's really good.
Right. Great. Let's hear it. I'm curious to hear it. So. Ooh.
You know?
So that's the sound. That's the sound, man. That's the sound. Yeah. And you know what I'm hearing in that is like exactly what I'm looking for, because there's and Eric talked to me about this, that there's air in the sound.
Yeah.
And that we're the tone is coming from the middle of that air, but we want to keep the fluff around it.
Right.
And that as you get louder, that opens up, but the fluff always stays around the center of the sound. And that vocal quality in the sound is something that I always try to make sure that I'm doing in the full range of the horn. Yeah. I started on a horn that was messed up. My neck had like all this calcium buildup in it. And when I got to lessons with him, I was blowing too hard, and I had like a 4 mouthpiece on there, a 4 reed on there, and a like a 9 opening, right? Like a 4.5 reed. And I was blowing way too hard, you know. Freshman just thought I was gonna show him something, you know.
Yeah.
And going in there like, and he picks up the horn, and his sound is twice as loud as mine was at that point, and it was like playing on a much easier setup. So finally, one lesson, he just goes, "Here, you know, play this," and I played it, and it was easy to play, and that's not taking anything away from his technique. You want to have an efficient piece of equipment. It's so important to have something that's working and that you can quite literally breathe through. You're not distracted by it. So I'm with you. This is an 8 also, and it's a 3 medium reed, which is just, you know, keep it right down the middle.
Yeah, it's got enough resistance so that you can, you know, each note has weight and definition and you have the full range of the instrument.
Right.
But it's also, you know, supple enough for you to have the proper flexibility.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, so.
And so, and one thing that I will share that is unique, maybe, you know, we could talk about overtones and all that stuff that everyone goes over. One thing that I started to develop and work on recently, or maybe the past year or so, is playing a scale just from the middle of the tenor down a half step, but fingering the actual key.
Oh,
because wow. I hear in, like, you know, my favorite, like, big sounds, especially Dexter and Train, and even like Seamus, like this underneath the note sound where they're lifting up the note almost, like it's like even if they're actually sharp, they still sound full. It never actually sounds sharp. So to me, that's a whole open throat thing where, you know, those guys are always coming up to the note. It's like that open sound. So what I started practicing is just, if I play a C scale, just a C scale, but I try to make it sound like it's a B scale. So now it sounds horrible, but point being is that we programmed ourselves to think like, here's a C.
Right.
That's going to sound like a C. Mm-hmm. You want to undo that, but you don't want to undo it sharp. You want to undo it flat, because now you're just blowing into the horn like open.
Right.
And Oates and Bergonzi talk about that all the time too. Like, it's a no embouchure. You just open like that. And when you get that, it's also good for your technique, because now we're not worried about articulating every note on the horn. It's actually the time is coming from our fingers.
Right.
And so that's kind of
how do you go about tonguing? Do you actually make contact with the reed, or are you doing like the top of the roof of the mouth type of thing, or?
Yeah, I'm tonguing. I make contact with the reed, you know. But I mean, there's only so much ways of articulating, right? We have tongue everything, tongue nothing, tongue one, slur one, and then slur one, tongue one. That's basically it, right? I mean, we could get into triplets like tongue one, slur two,
right? But
like, that's basically it. So the whole concept of like tonguing, to me, I never really got on that level. Maybe there's more to it, but like the whole like how to tongue thing.
Right.
My whole thing is like, there's only 4 ways to do it. Like, just learn all 4 ways. But like the real thing to me is to make sure that if you're practicing scale exercises, which I've spent a lot of time doing, that you're just you're tonguing one note and like letting your fingers do the work. So or if you're playing like a bebop scale pattern that I like, you're not tonguing anything. The whole idea is that I'm using my breath, and I'm just trying to have my fingers play the time.
Right.
The articulation is like the icing on the cake for me. I'm not worried about that specifically, because I feel like if the substance is there, if the cake is there, the words are there, when I want to accent something, I'm going to accent it, or I'm not going to accent it. You know, it's to me it's not as much about the articulation as it is about the technique of your fingers. For me, I'm not saying that's right, but that's for me. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the tonguing, to me, what I think about is just trying to use it in a rhythmic sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To really accentuate the rhythm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not so much as like a technical exercise. A lot of that stuff just comes naturally. Like when you hear it or when you're taking it off the page, if it's like an eighth note thing, like you're going to feel where it needs to lie.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. And the thing that to me, that's artistry. Like Sonny and Joe are the masters of that. Like just the way Sonny can turn the beat around on purpose with his articulation, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But to me, that's like, okay, you know, he does that, and the way he plays time is unbelievable. That, like, the only way to practice that is to just do it.
Right. Check out the album.
Right. Check out the album. Listen to it. You know, be creative with your articulation. But that's an artistry thing. Right. You know, I mean, it's something to practice. But as far as him being able to play time that way, I mean, I wondered. Maybe they did. Maybe those cats did. I don't know. Maybe they did. I mean, I'm open to learn. You know. Right.
So I know everybody talks about Coltrane and Parker and stuff like that. If you were to like recommend a saxophone player, tenor player, alto player that maybe guys haven't checked out, or you know, a little more obscure guy who is definitely worth it. You know, a couple come to mind. Will Vincent. You know, a lot of guys don't really mention his name a lot. You know.
Yeah. Will. I mean, Will's incredible, and on tenor too.
John Ellis, another one.
John, woof, bad dude. John is amazing. Yes. Yeah, man. I mean, there's so many great players that maybe aren't on social media as much. So maybe but I mean, I saw a post today with saying that Joel was underrated, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's top of the line rated. Yeah. So I was like, underrated, but Joel should be mentioned in every sentence is what I'm saying. You know, if he's not. So Joel, Seamus Blake, I love Seamus, but I mean, everyone's listening. Donnie McCaslin. I mean,
Steve Wilson.
Woo. Yeah. I mean, talk about technique. Steve, you know Steve Wilson's 7-note chromatic pattern?
No.
Because my man Nick Biela plays that all the time. I can't even do it, but it's a 7-note group to get your keys together. And Steve I know Steve was preaching that pattern to me, Andrew Gould, and Nick at Purchase, you know, a lot.
Wow.
Well, Nick didn't go to Purchase, but that's one of his like tongue twister things that Steve always talks about. And sound, but Steve's unbelievable too. I'm trying to think someone underrated. I mean, you know, he makes mouthpieces, but Matt Morantz.
Yeah, he plays.
He's like a special musician, man. You know, Matt Morantz is a special tenor player. I'm trying to think who else. Lucas Pino.
Lucas Pino, Ben
Wendell, yes. Yeah. Guys, the next generation, yeah, for sure, man.
So are you doing any commercial stuff at all? Like contemporary?
Well, yeah, I do this band, the 8-Bit Big Band. I don't know if that's commercial. Like, I don't know. What do you mean, like R&B stuff too?
Yeah.
I have this band that I'm starting with Nick.
Okay.
That's gonna be like this crazy like death metal jazz kind of vibe. And we're gonna go in. We're gonna write all these crazy vamps and just like shred all over the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to that. But as far as like contemporary stuff that's happening, I'm in the 8-Bit Big Band. Charlie Rosen's doing this thing where it's all video game music, and I'm taking R&B solos in that, you know. And there's a lot of guys that he uses for that.
I think I saw a little something, a snippet of something like that. Were you on that Lewis Cole thing?
Which one? I don't think so.
You weren't working? Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were on that Lewis Cole thing. He did a couple of recordings, like he had like a whole big band in his apartment.
Oh no, I don't think I did that. No. Yeah, I did some videos for Five Key, 5 Key's big band albums coming out. Also, that's going to be, and that band's amazing. And Lucas is the other tenor player in that band, lead tenor in that band. That's a great section. And I have a transcription book coming out that this Nick Maniela is doing with me. He's got the Everything Saxophone podcast coming out. But in contemporary bands, yeah, I think the 8-bit big band is the only one that's going to fall under that category. But I mean, I'm always doing, like some funk and blues solos for guys on Instagram and stuff too. Right.
Speaking of like sax repairmen that play, John Ledbetter, my other good buddy. I got to get him on here, man. I tried to reach out to him to get him to do a session. Just on some sax stuff and obviously music, man. But he's so busy right now. I can't. He's like,
yes.
Yeah,
I can't. Well, he's supposed to design a horn for me, like an actual model horn for me, and I still can't get a hold of him because I think everyone and their grandma is using their first saxophone repair right now. So
he's in demand.
He's very, very, yeah, and he's got that whole loft set up there too. So it's a nice area. I think a lot of people are contacting him. So
yeah,
that's good. It's good.
I remember I met John before he had his shop. We were hanging out. I had an apartment up in on the Upper West Side, and we were just hanging out, playing on the roof. Like he didn't have a shop. He hadn't started. We like exchanged some equipment and stuff. And he was telling me about what he's doing right now, like wanting to do it. It's really good to see him. How far he's come.
Oh man, yeah.
Literally started from nothing. Just doing
right.
some repairs in the little office, little closet space, basically.
Right. Yeah, man. He's come a long way. It's incredible. And I remember that time too, because he used to do that gig at Harlem Tavern.
Yeah, I think that's where we met. Maybe.
Okay, is that where we met too?
No, I don't think we met there. I think we met at Fat Cat.
Oh, we met at Fat Cat. We met at Fat Cat, right?
Cleo's, yeah.
In Cleo's, yeah. That's right. Yeah. But I was walking by Harlem Tavern one day, and I was like, "Who's that saxophone player? That's what? They got a good band at Harlem Tavern. Like everyone's outside eating brunch. What the hell?" And it was John. And I had already known John, but I always remind him of that because I was just like freaked out walking by on the sidewalk too. It's like, yeah, he's amazing, man. He's a great player, and it's really cool. Like for anyone interested in saxophone repair, to have a good saxophone player that actually is doing repair, because, I mean, for obvious reasons, but when they can relate to you as a player, that's a special thing, not just to be a technical. Minded repairman, and you have to learn another language. Right. They're speaking both languages, so it's educational.
Yeah,
Kim Bach is like that too.
Yeah, Kim's another one. To know the difference in the key height and the key tension, and really make those slight adjustments. It's good to have someone that really knows like what it's supposed to feel like. Just to slap the pads closed. You know what I mean? Like
definitely, yeah, definitely.
Just that feel and that sound.
Definitely. Yeah. I know. Yeah, nothing feels like that.
So before we get out of here, man, you want to play one real quick? Maybe like do some trading back and forth or something.
I was just gonna say we should play something, but yeah. I hope the delay isn't weird. But
yeah, how are we doing, Steve?
Yeah, I think we should give this a try. It worked out pretty well before, so we got some time. Let's do it.
Oh. Okay, cool. When we go to go into 2:30? Is that what?
Well, just whenever. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I'll name the tune. Should I name the tune? Let's see. You got one in mind?
Not really. Maybe 4.
Oh, let's do 4. Cool.
Yeah.
You want to play the head or?
Yeah, well, we can trade off the head. Let's trade 4s over the head. Trade 4s over 4.
Killer. Let's do it. So 4 bars of melody, 4 bars of melody.
Yeah.
Okay.
My man, Sam Dillon. Yeah, man.
I haven't done that yet, actually. I haven't done that yet, so that was good, man. It sounds so great.
Yeah, man.
Great, Jeremy, man.
It was a pleasure. Thanks so much for doing this again, man.
That was a good idea. I like 4. Do you know that clip of Brecker playing 4 in that masterclass?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a really good version of him and Kenny Barron doing it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's in Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Killing.
Dude, you sound so great, man. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jeremy. Anytime. And hats off to you for everything you're doing for everyone.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, both of you. Man, saxophonist, woodwind player, composer, teacher, Sam Dillon. Goodness gracious, man. It's so good to have you with us. We really, really appreciate it. And Jeremy Carter, we've got a week together this week, Jeremy, don't we?
Yes.
I mean,
there's tomorrow. I'm really excited. We have Terrace Martin. That guy's, just done a lot. Worked with just a who's who of guys to his credit. And then Mike Tucker and Tucker Antel coming up later in the week. So we have like a lot of saxophone and musical knowledge coming through the Clearwater Jazz Holiday this week, and it's really exciting. Thanks to Steve, and thanks to everybody who participates and contributes to making this become a reality. Thanks to everyone.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you too, Jeremy, for being part of this and helping to grow the Conversation With series that's part of these Young Lions sessions. We've already had a lot of really meaningful discussions, and in between all of those, there's all the instructional sessions too. The What I Love About series has been really fun. In fact, there's one later today with Alejandro Arenas. And so, there's a lot of good stuff up in the studio and in these live sessions. It's also been really inspiring with the Wanderlust music series, and getting our community back around these live music events. It's been really important for our local music community, and gives us a platform to celebrate all of this wonderful outreach we're accomplishing together. As I mentioned at the beginning, Jeremy is going to be appearing on September 10th at the Evie's Bistro Rooftop concert experience as part of the Wanderlust series. And playing on that night too is Monk Funk. The James Suggs Quartet plays the music of Thelonious Monk, and Jeremy Carter Rubber Band's going to be closing it out. I'm sure we're going to see Jeremy back for some other stuff along the way as well. We kicked off this past weekend. For those of you with us today, we had a sold-out show in Station Square Park as part of our Backstage Bistro experience. We had La Lucha as part of a Clearwater Jazz Holiday Collective that featured Valerie Gillespie, James Suggs, Jeff Rupert, came in from Orlando, Marty Morell, Michiko Morell, and Theo Valentine was part of it too. I mean, it was great. Had about 160 attendees, socially distanced, around about 40 or so bistro tables in a beautiful setting outside, and everyone did great. It was a wonderful way to kick off the year. We've got a bluesy, funky, soulful weekend coming up this weekend with the Sean Brown's B3 Organ Trio and the B3 and the Voice, Hefner and Hefner, that bluesy jazz band. That's Friday night. That's all on Friday night. And on Saturday night, we're going to get a little louder with the Selwyn Birchwood Band and Ariella, formerly Ari and the Alibis. And check out the Wanderlust page. I mean, we've got this stuff programmed all the way through the end of the year. Artist Jasmine Gent. We've got Americana Night with Have Gun Will Travel and Boxcar Hollow. Acme Jazz Garage is going to be involved. Later in the year, Dan Miller on trumpet is going to be joining a Brandon Robertson trio, which is going to be hot. And there's a lot of good stuff. We're bringing in the Honey Island Swamp Band from New Orleans for one of the beat shows. So, I mean, we got a lot of good stuff, man.
Wow. I'm coming.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, hey, be careful what you say. We might have to.
No, I'm gonna come. I gotta come hang with you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. We gotta get you up there.
We have to get Sam down.
No, that would be killer, man. We need to create something and figure that out real soon. And then, you know, in a few weeks, we're going to be doing some announcements about the larger Clearwater Jazz Holiday Music Festival, which we are planning in October in a reduced capacity setting, but a larger scale event with social distancing and other safety protocols in place. And that's going to be our 42nd year. So it's a special year for Clearwater Jazz Holiday community. Really proud of everything we're able to do together. And Sam and Jeremy, you are a special part of that. So again, on behalf of the Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation, thank you both for being with us today. And we're going to be twisting Sam's arm, I know for sure, to come back with us. And then everybody else out there, you know, stay safe out there. Keep playing, keep practicing, keep being creative. Watch these sessions. I hope they inspire you. And just be well, man. We'll see everybody back real soon. Take care.